6920. While maintaining a magnetic heading of 180 degrees and a true airspeed of 130 knots, the 270 degrees radial of a VOR is crossed at 1037 and the 260 degrees radial at 1042. The approximate time and distance to the station would be A. 30 minutes and 65 nm. B. 42 minutes and 104 nm. C. 44 minutes and 96 nm. The correct answer is A. When maintaining a magnetic heading of 180 degrees and a true airspeed of 130 knots, the 270 degrees radial of a VOR is crossed at 1037, while the 260 degrees radial is crossed at 1042. Based on this information, we can determine the approximate time and distance to the VOR station. The time elapsed between crossing the two radials is 5 minutes, from 1037 to 1042. In aviation, it is generally assumed that 1 minute of time corresponds to 2 nautical miles of distance traveled when maintaining a constant ground speed. Therefore, in this scenario, the aircraft has traveled approximately 10 nautical miles, 5 minutes times 2 nautical miles per minute, between the two radials. To determine the time and distance to the VOR station, we need to calculate the remaining distance based on the 260 degrees radial. Since the aircraft crossed the 260 degrees radial at 1042, we can estimate that the remaining distance to the VOR station is approximately 55 nautical miles, 10 nautical miles between the radials plus 45 nautical miles from the 260 degrees radial to the station. Hence, the approximate time and distance to the VOR station would be 30 minutes and 65 nautical miles. 6922. When using a VOT to check the accuracy of a VOR receiver with an RMI, what should the RMI indicate if no error exists? A. 180 degrees from. B. 180 degrees to. C. 360 degrees to. The correct answer is B. When conducting a VOT, VOR Test Facility, check to verify the accuracy of a VOR receiver that is equipped with an RMI, radio magnetic indicator. The expected indication on the RMI when no error exists is 180 degrees TO. The purpose of the VOT is to provide a known and reliable signal for testing the VOR receiver's accuracy. During the VOT check, the VOT signal is transmitted from the ground station. When the VOR receiver with an RMI is correctly calibrated and functioning accurately, the RMI needle or indicator should align precisely with the to indication on the RMI display. This alignment indicates that the VOR receiver is receiving and interpreting the VOT signal correctly. The 180 degrees TO indication means that the RMI needle is pointing directly towards the TO indication on the RMI display, which represents the direction of the VOT station from the aircraft's location. This alignment signifies that the VOR receiver is correctly indicating the radial or course to the VOT station, without any error or deviation. Therefore, during a VOT check, if no error exists in the VOR receiver, the expected indication on the RMI would be 180 degrees TO B. This indication assures the pilot that the VOR receiver is accurately receiving and interpreting VOR signals. 6923. When using a VOT to check the accuracy of a VOR receiver with the CDI centered, what should the OBS indicate if no error exists? A. 360 degrees to 270 degrees from. B. 180 degrees from 360 degrees to. C. 180 degrees to 360 degrees from. The correct answer is C. When conducting a VOT, VOR Test Facility, check to verify the accuracy of a VOR receiver with the CDI, Course Deviation Indicator, centered. The OBS, Omni-Bearing Selector, should indicate 180 degrees TO, 360 degrees from, if no error exists. This means that when the VOT signal is received and the CDI is centered, the OBS should display 180 degrees to on the to side and 360 degrees from on the from side. During the VOT check, the VOT signal is transmitted from the ground station. When the VOR receiver is functioning accurately and the CDI is centered, the OBS should be set to the radial or course of the VOT station. In this case, with no error present, the OBS should indicate 180 degrees to on the to side, representing the correct course to the VOT station, and 360 degrees from on the from side, indicating the reciprocal course from the VOT station. This configuration assures the pilot that the VOR receiver is accurately receiving and interpreting the VOT signal, aligning with the expected radial or course information. Hence, during a VOT check, if no error exists in the VOR receiver, the OBS should indicate 180 degrees to, 360 degrees from. 6924. A particular VORTAC station is undergoing routine maintenance. This is evidenced by A. Removal of the identification feature. B. Removal of the voice feature of the TACAN. C. Transmitting a series of dashes after each identification signal. The correct answer is A. To indicate that a particular VORTAC station is undergoing routine maintenance, the evidence would be the removal of the identification feature. This means that during the maintenance period, the identification signal typically associated with the VORTAC station has been removed. The identification feature of a VORTAC station is an audible Morse code or voice signal that helps pilots identify the specific station. It is typically transmitted periodically to aid in station identification and navigation. During routine maintenance, it is common practice to disable or remove the identification feature temporarily. This is done to avoid confusion for pilots who rely on the identification signal to confirm their position and navigation. Therefore, the correct evidence or indication that a VORTAC station is undergoing routine maintenance would be the removal of the identification feature. 6925. The three individual navigation services provided by a VORTAC facility are A. UHF VOR azimuth, VHF TACAN azimuth, and VHF TACAN distance information. B. VHF VOR azimuth, UHF TACAN azimuth, and UHF TACAN distance information. C. VHF VOR azimuth, VHF TACAN azimuth, and UHF TACAN distance information. The correct answer is B. A VORTAC facility provides three individual navigation services, which are as follows: VHF VOR azimuth, UHF TACAN azimuth, and UHF TACAN distance information. The VHF VOR azimuth service provides azimuth or directional information using very high frequency VHF signals. It helps pilots determine their radial or course from the VORTAC station. The UHF TACAN azimuth service, on the other hand, provides azimuth information using ultra-high frequency UHF signals. It assists pilots in determining their azimuth or bearing from the TACAN component of the VORTAC facility. Lastly, the UHF TACAN distance information service provides distance information using UHF signals. It enables pilots to measure their distance from the TACAN component of the VORTAC station.